the job market's fucked. Okay, here's a sad statistic for you. For the first time ever, recent graduates have a higher unemployment rate than people that don't have degrees. Meaning, if you just started working right after high school or whatever, you don't have a degree, you have a higher chance of being employed than if you did get a degree. And what's worse than that, 41.5% of recent grads are underemployed, which basically means you're working jobs that don't actually require their degree. In other words, you just wasted your money going to school, working hard, wasting 4 years of the prime of your life, just working hard trying to get that degree, when in reality you could have just started working and built yourself up a little bit more and not gone into debt. I truly don't understand how the government doesn't step in. Now, I'm not a genius and I wouldn't be able to tell you how exactly they would fix it, which is ironic because I do have a degree. I got a degree in marketing and economics. So you'd think with a degree in economics, but that's just even more fuel to the fire. It's like, I don't even know because they never taught me that in school, you know? But we all, I'm kind of beating a dead horse with this video. Like, you have heard that the job market sucks. But the problem is, I wish I had the statistics up right now, but if you compared a lot of the conditions from the Great Depression, which was in 29, to modern day, like right now, it's like the interest rates and the percentage of young people that can buy a home and all these things is actually worse now. Granted, there were still other aspects or statistics that were worse during the Great Depression. But what's scary is it's not far-fetched at all. As a matter of fact, it's actually more likely than not that you won't be able to afford a home until you're over 40 years old. And that's not the American dream. That's not what we were promised when we were little kids in the classroom. Not that they were always talking about that, but you just had this idea. Normally, I feel like a family gets a house around 30. Like, you get married and you start having kids around 30. Sure, not everyone's going to do that, but that is kind of like the American ideal, if you will. And that's just gone. And this is what sucks is, so if you went to school more recently, that means the information that you learned is more recent, which in my opinion means you're more qualified, especially in the digital age, for a lot of these jobs. But what jobs are AI taking? Is AI taking? Entry-level jobs. So you are not competing against just the people in your own class that also graduated with you. You're competing against AI. But what's worse than that is the people that graduated last year that couldn't find a job, 2 years ago that couldn't find a job, you are now competing with them. And what does this all do? It gives the companies leverage. What do they do with that leverage? They lower your salary because people are more desperate. They'll basically take any job they can get, even if it's $40K a year. And so now with the rising costs that is required to live, you got to pay for rent, you got to pay for food, you got to pay for insurance, you got to pay for your car, you got to pay for your phone, you got to pay for everything. You got to pay to live on an earth that you were born onto. Now, I'm not one of those people that's like, oh, communism. I'm really not that type of guy at all, if you know my content. But it's like, it's just getting ridiculous. Whatever system we have in place objectively does not work. And what's so weird about it is it's just been on like this steady decline. It's just going downhill. And it's been that way since I've been conscious enough to care about it, or like in a position in my life where I would say high school, you start to think a little bit more about the economy, because then you start driving a car, you start bringing girls out on dates. Like, you start to actually care about the economy then. Ever since I can remember actually knowing what the economy was like, the situation we were in, the gas prices, it just gets worse and worse. And that's what's it's like, okay, so we're all staring at this problem, but no one is doing anything to fix it. I got some more statistics for you guys. So 52% of the class of 2023 were still underemployed a full year after graduating. I would venture to guess that statistic has gotten worse. I said this on a video before, but I have a buddy of mine who, we don't live near each other. But we talk at once every 3 months, but it's one of those things where you're really close to the guy, but you know how it is as men. Sometimes you just don't talk. And once you do talk, you're boys right away. But every time I catch up with this guy, it's like once every 3 months. I've been doing this for the past year and a half. every time I catch up with him, he's like, yeah, I apply to a minimum of 5 jobs every single day. And he's only ever gotten one interview in the past 2 years. He graduated 2 years ago. He's only gotten one interview. He's applied to 5 every day. He on all the things. And he told me that he's literally like legitimately losing hope. And he thinks that the only way you can get a job is if you network. It's like nepotism or networking. Those are the only 2 ways you can get a job, because you have what's called a ghost job. If you're unfamiliar, it's where companies will go on Indeed or whatever, and they'll say, hey, we have a job opening and we're hiring for this, but it's not real. And so you waste all this time applying and trying to do it to the best of your ability because you want to give yourself the best chance, but they don't even care. And then you never, the way that these systems are set up, the HR never even reaches out to you. You don't even get an email. So you're kind of just like, oh wow, they really don't respect me. And the way that it works is you have to seduce an AI resume reader that's like, oh, keyword here, keyword there. So these companies will virtue signal to the public that they hate AI too, because that's what the public doesn't like AI. And then they just use AI to check the resumes. But no, you can't use AI for your resume. No, they don't accept that. If they detect AI on your resume, it's no good, no bueno. So they're just hypocrites, but they're in the position of power. So like I said before, they have a higher leverage. So not only can they either pull the card of lowering the salary, or they can also pull the card of, I'm only going to hire someone who's way overqualified, so they're getting a much better candidate. Listen to this stat. Only 19% of graduates say that it is a good time to find a quality job, which is down from over 70% in 2022. Now, I think the majority of this does come from AI, but it's also just whatever socioeconomic issues are going on in the world somehow contribute to the economy. I'm not smart enough to figure that out. I'm not an expert. I'm not claiming to be an expert. But what I do know is that the job market sucks. And it's just, I don't think that it is distributed fairly in terms of who's getting the opportunities and who's not. And I'm not even talking about nepotism or networking. I'm talking about age, right? The older people are staying in it. And here's the other thing too, like, they know that they have, like, these companies, they sort of have older people or people that have been putting in a lot of hours or have a lot of years at a job. They basically have a leisure on them because they say, oh, once you get to this certain level, you're going to get X, Y, or Z benefit. Like, you're going to get a certain amount of money distributed into your 401k, or you get a pension, or, they have different benefits. So that's literally how they contain these people. And then they're like, hey, we also don't really have to raise their wages that much. Like, the promotion that they